Hi, this is Angie with St. Louis Music Press, and I'm talking to Mike Silvia, who is with STOMP, a choreographed percussion movement and physical comedy performance that will be coming to St. Louis. Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Great.
So I imagine that you've been traveling for some time now with STOMP. Are you out on the road today?
No, actually, we're off, and we've been off for the last week. And on the 25th, on Christmas Day, we actually jump on a plane and we fly up to Alaska to go do shows in Anchorage for a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting.
I'm curious. Can you tell me a little bit about how you came to be involved with Stomp and a little bit of your musical history as far as how you got involved with percussion?
Sure, absolutely. Well, about 20 years ago, I told my parents that I wanted to play drums, and so they got me a drum set. And I started playing drums, and I really just, didn't stop. Um, and in elementary school, I was playing drums. I would play in band. I would play the snare drum and the bass drum. And then from elementary school, I went on to high school, and I played with the drum line, and I also played with the jazz ensemble. And um, after high school, um, I was just playing pretty much, I would say, at least 6 hours a day. I had my own studio, and it was just something that I really enjoyed doing, and it was a great pastime for me. And then so once I got into college, I kept taking more music programs. I took jazz, big band. I did Afro Cuban, and also this whole time I was playing in all different types of rock bands and like singer songwriter bands. And so you know after you play for such a long time, you need to find something that's going to actually, some way that you can really make this a career, because as of all of that time frame, high school and the beginning of college, I wasn't really making too much money doing anything, so I needed to do something professional. And so I decided that I was going to go and try out for a percussion show that was not Stomp. It was a different show. It was a much smaller show. It was kind of like a one-off type thing. And so I did that for a while, and that's where I really, started my passion with drumming on unconventional objects like trash cans and pots and pans and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed it. And I saw that a lot of the audience members, people that watched us, they really enjoyed it also. So I was like, okay, I love this. And so after that, I said to myself, well, what's next after this? And of course, it was Stomp. And so it was my sophomore year in college, and it was during final weeks. And all of a sudden, I get on the internet to go check and see whether or not Stomp's doing auditions, and they are. And so I had to sit down with my parents and tell them that I wanted to go to New York and go stay there for a week and audition. And going through finals and having to just get up and leave, that was a pretty big deal with my parents, but they understood that this was something that I really, really wanted to do. So after that long conversation, they bought me a plane ticket and they put me up in a hostel right next to the Orpheum Theater, which is that's in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And yeah, so I flew in there, and going to Manhattan from San Diego. I was born and raised in San Diego, but going to Manhattan was just such a culture shock to me. It was so unusual. I couldn't believe. Um, how people got around on subways and taxis, and how people depended on public transportation. I just wasn't aware of that, because coming from San Diego, everybody drives. You might take the
Yeah.
trolley here and there, but so anyways, I think the audition started at like 10 a.m. So I got there around 8 a.m. just so I could be right in the front of the line. And good thing I did, because about 2,000 people showed up. So I was in front
Wow.
of this. Yeah, I was in front of the line, and yeah, it was just such an amazing experience. And so they finally opened up the doors, and I was the first group to go in there. And they brought in about 20 people, and they taught us a part of the show which is called hands and feet, which is basically where you use your body as an instrument, and they show you some of their routine. And the audition process is really quick. It takes probably about 15 to 20 minutes, and straight off the bat they typecast you, which means going off your look, the way that you move, and also the way that you're picking up the music. That's what they based everything off of. And so in that group, I was the only person that was actually called back, and that was a very amazing feeling when they said, Mike Silvia, you come back tomorrow or the next day. We're going to give you a call back, and everybody else can go. And
Oh,
so
wow.
it was very amazing. And then I just kept going back, kept going back. And like I said, this was a week long audition process. And every single time you went back, the competition got harder, and the music got harder. The stuff that they taught you got more difficult and complex. And so I was very fortunate enough to make it all the way to the end. And then they offered me a full time position in New York, starting off. So I started off in New York for as the full time potato head. That's what they call that role, as a potato head. And basically, I do the broom solo in the very beginning, and it was an amazing experience to go perform with that cast. The New York cast, is a very grounded and a very amazing cast. And so after that, after about a year of doing that, they put a sign up sheet for people that might want to go to Vegas, because they were opening up a show in Vegas. It was called Stomp Out Loud, and it was super stomp. Usually on stage we have 8 people in the original show. There's 8 people on stage, and they were going to make a super stomp where there was 16 people on stage. And so, anyways, I signed up my name on this piece of paper on the wall, just kind of as a joke, because I was like, yeah, right. I've only been in it for a year, and they're gonna pick some other people that have been in it for 5, 6, 7 years. And lucky enough for me, I got a call, and they offered me a position in Las Vegas, which was absolutely amazing, because like I said, I'm from San Diego, the West Coast. So coming to Vegas was just that much closer to the West Coast, and that much more, you know, um, uh, I just understand the West Coast better, I guess you could say, than the East Coast. Um, and so I performed with the Vegas cast for about 2.5 years. And then after that, the show unfortunately closed, and they were looking to reopen it at a different casino, but unfortunately, it just kept falling through. And this was right about at the time that the economy just started falling apart. And so, as we all know, as performers and people that are in the arts, the first thing to go when the economy crashed was all of the shows. The Broadway shut down. Our show shut down in Vegas, and our tour schedule got really tight. So, anyways, after that show closed, there was about a month where I was in limbo, and I was just kind of hanging out. And so I decided that I was going to go on a long vacation. So I went on a vacation up and down Mexico, and then it was amazing. And then as soon as I got back from that vacation, I got another phone call, and they were offering another full time position to the Tour of Americas, which is the show that you'll see over in St. Louis. We are the North America South America tour, and I've been doing that ever since. For I think this is my fourth tour with the Tour of Americas, and it's just been an amazing experience. There's so many different audiences out there in the United States, and there's so many different cultures, and we've really been able to keep the show going alive and going strong. Stomp has been open for as far as the tour goes, it's been going on for 21 years now. It's the longest running production that is still running, and yeah, and it's just been an amazing experience.
What kind of rehearsal goes into being a participant in Stomp? It seems like it's very tightly choreographed, and like that would take a lot of time.
Yeah, well, okay, so going back to when I first got into the show, once they do offer you a position, it's on a trial basis. So what happens is you go into a very intensive workshop where you learn the show, and what you do is for 6 weeks, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, you are just learning the show, and yeah, it's very intense. Your body, is very sore. Your hands are sore. You get blisters on your hands. Um, you have to figure out how to play these weird objects, poles and brooms, and how to throw buckets up in the air, and not only that, but how to play with other people that are also going through the same thing. And so once you do all that rehearsal time, then they finally, they say, okay, cool, you're going into the show. And so my first show that I was in, the very first show was it was February 14th. It was Valentine's Day, and yeah, so it was pretty amazing to go in at that time. But before every show, back to the tour now. We rehearse an hour prior to each show, and we basically go through all the different numbers, and we do pulls like all the dangerous numbers where there's a possibility of getting hit. We do that rehearsal, and also because we have a small cast. We have a cast of 12 people that tour with us, and like I said, 8 people are on stage at one time. But because we travel with such a small cast, people have to know different roles. So it's very common to have somebody that knows two, maybe three roles. So when that person's switching a role, we call that swinging. You're doing a swing role. So for those people that are coming in and switching their heads around to a different number, then that's also why we do those rehearsals. And then also right before the show, we call 20. So 20 minutes before the actual time that we step on stage, we go and we do another rehearsal. And that's kind of like just a quick little mock through. And we just, we make sure that everybody, has their head on straight, and, everybody's ready to go do a show and accounted for, and that's it.
You had mentioned that there are quite a few non-traditional instruments used. Can you tell us some of the things that are used?
Yeah, we use poles. I would say they're about 6 feet, 6 foot poles. We hit those together. It's kind of like a martial arts number, I would say, because the way that we hit each other, it's kind of like, it's like you have a pole and we're constantly like dodging each other and hitting each other. And that's a pretty full out number, meaning like when we hit each other, we're not just tapping each other, we're really hitting each other. Um,
Yikes.
yeah, so we have those. Like I said, we have our bodies, which that's a unconventional type of instrument, um, and that's related to body percussion. We use pots and pans. We use inner tube, like tractor tire inner tubes. We use radiator hoses. We use paint cans. We use big metal buckets. Um, what else do we use? Um, oh, well, one of the new numbers that we just put into the show is called trolleys. That's what the UK people. That's what the Brits call shopping carts. They call them trolleys, and we actually just put that number into the show a few weeks ago when we were performing in Miami. And so now we have a number where we use shopping carts, and it's really, really a really awesome number. as far as musicality goes, most of our pieces are either in 4/4 or in 6/8, which is a time signature. So either you're counting to four, 1, 2, 3, 4, or you're counting in six, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Uh, Shopping carts or trolleys, as we call it, it's in five. So now we count to five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. People can relate to five. If you've ever heard Dave Brubeck, Take Five.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's in five. And so that's a very, very interesting number to play in five. And it's a very funky, very driven piece. And yeah, and so we those are some of the instruments that we use.
Is there an aspect of performing with Stomp that you enjoy the most?
Yeah, absolutely. The aspect that I've come to love is the audience and performers communication and chemistry during a show. That's definitely what's kept me going on all these years. It's so interesting to communicate with the audience. In all these different cities that we go to, no audience is ever the same, and every performance is always different. So it really keeps you on your toes, and keeps it interesting, and as we like to call it, fresh every night.
Well, in closing, I was wondering if you have a message that you'd like to say directly to people who will be in attendance at the show in St. Louis.
Absolutely. This is going to be my third time playing St. Louis, and first of all, I love St. Louis. It's just such a beautiful place, and it's always a pleasure to play there, especially in the Fox Theater. Um, um, if you've seen Stomp, you definitely come back and see it again. We have more numbers, more new numbers with more surprises. It's yeah. One of the new numbers that we put in is called Trolleys, and that's basically a shopping cart, and we play shopping carts now. It's absolutely amazing. Another new number that we put in is called Frogs, and us here in the United States, we might not know what they are, but if you go to Europe, you'll know exactly what they are. When you're inside of a building and the plumbing doesn't line up exactly right, what you do is you connect these two plastic PVC hoses, and it connects two different pipes. So say that a pipe doesn't go straight up and down, and it's just a little off kilter. You connect those two pipes with this fixture, and we like to call it a plastic accordion. So it's a really, really interesting number, and everybody usually enjoys it. And so, like I said, if you've seen Stomp, definitely come back, see it again. We're back with new surprises, and we're back with such an amazing cast. We have such high energy, such good music, and such great chemistry on stage, and we cannot wait to come and bring some good times to everybody in St. Louis.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate so much you taking the time to talk with me.
No problem. Thank you very much for talking to me.
And I look forward to seeing you at the Fox Theater.